You know, one of the smartest things we learn over the years is how to be resourceful. We learn not to waste. We make a beautiful big dinner for the family, and we feel a quiet sense of satisfaction when we pack up the leftovers, knowing we have a delicious, easy meal waiting for us tomorrow. It's a symbol of good planning, of providing for our family, of making our food and our money stretch further. It feels like a win, doesn't it? A simple, comforting routine we've practiced for decades. It's just common sense. But what if I told you that this simple act of thriftiness, this habit we see as so wise and harmless, could be a hidden trap? What if that innocent-looking container of leftovers holds a secret that, when unlocked, could be silently draining your energy, clouding your mind, and even contributing to the very health problems we're all trying so hard to avoid? And here's the most important part. It has almost nothing to do with the food going bad in the way we usually think. The danger isn't in the food itself, but in the simple, everyday act of reheating it. Today, we are going to pull back the curtain on a risk that lurks in millions of kitchens every single day. We're going to talk about the 6 common, healthy foods that can transform when reheated, releasing compounds that can be tough on our digestion, create inflammation, and even impact our brain health. This isn't about fear, this is about knowledge. Because once you understand the simple science behind why this happens, you'll be empowered to protect yourself and your loved ones. We'll not only cover the 6 foods you need to be careful with, but I'll also give you simple, safe, and delicious ways to enjoy them, so you don't have to give up the convenience you love. Let's get started. Food number 1, chicken. Let's begin with a true kitchen staple, chicken. Roast chicken, grilled chicken breasts, chicken soup. It's a go-to for healthy, lean protein. Now, I want you to imagine this. It's Sunday. The whole family came over. You made your famous roast chicken, seasoned just right. The meal was wonderful, filled with laughter and stories. Now it's later, and you're cleaning up. You have a good amount of chicken left. You think, perfect, that's lunch for the next 2 days. You carefully put it in the fridge, feeling smart and prepared. The next day, you're busy. You don't have time to cook. You remember the leftover chicken. You pull it out, put it on a plate, and pop it in the microwave for 2 minutes until it's steaming hot. You sit down to eat, feeling good that you're having a healthy, home-cooked meal. But here's what's happening on a microscopic level that you can't see, smell, or taste. Chicken is incredibly dense in protein. When you cook it the first time, the structure of these proteins changes. That's normal. However, when you cool it down and then blast it with high heat a second time, like in a microwave, the protein composition changes again, and in a very different way.
These proteins break down into fragments that are much harder for our bodies to digest.
Your digestive system, which might not be as robust as it was at 30, now has to work overtime to try and untangle this mess. So what does that feel like in your body? An hour or 2 after your healthy lunch, you might feel bloated. You might have uncomfortable stomach cramps or feel unusually sluggish and heavy. And here's the link to your brain. When your gut is struggling, it sends distress signals to your brain. It diverts huge amounts of energy to deal with a digestive crisis, leaving you feeling that familiar, frustrating brain fog, a lack of focus, and a sudden dip in energy. You might blame it on a bad night's sleep or just getting older, but it could very well be your reheated lunch. So what's the solution? Does this mean you have to throw out leftover chicken? Absolutely not. The key is how you handle it. The safe way? The best way to enjoy leftover chicken is cold. Slice it up for a delicious chicken salad, shred it for a sandwich with some avocado and whole grain bread, or toss it into a fresh green salad. This way you get all the protein without the digestive nightmare. If you absolutely must have it warm, you have to be gentle. Avoid the microwave. Instead, shred the chicken and warm it up slowly in a pan on the stovetop over low heat with a little bit of broth or olive oil. The goal is to warm it, not to cook it again. This gentler process is far less likely to create those indigestible protein tangles. It's a small change in habit, but it can make a huge difference in how you feel for the rest of the day. Food number 2, potatoes. All right, let's move on to one of the world's most beloved comfort foods, potatoes. Mashed, roasted, boiled, or baked, they're a cornerstone of so many meals. And who doesn't love leftover roasted potatoes? But potatoes have a hidden danger, and this one isn't about the potato itself, but about a sneaky bacteria that loves them. The problem with potatoes isn't the reheating, but rather how they are stored after being cooked.
When you cook potatoes and then leave them to cool at room temperature for too long before putting them in the fridge, you create the perfect 5-star resort for a bacteria called Clostridium botulinum. This is the bacteria that causes botulism, a rare but very serious illness. The warm, low-acid and oxygen-free environment inside a cooked potato is its ideal breeding ground. You might think, I'll just reheat it really hot, that will kill the bacteria. And while very high heat might kill the bacteria, it does not destroy the toxic spores the bacteria have already produced while they were multiplying. These toxins are heat resistant.
So you might reheat your potatoes until they're sizzling, thinking they're safe, but you could be consuming toxins that can cause severe neurological symptoms. It's a risk that is simply not worth taking. The brain connection here is direct and serious. Even in non-lethal doses, these neurotoxins can interfere with nerve function, which can manifest in subtle ways long before a severe diagnosis. Muscle weakness, blurred vision, and a general feeling of being off. So how do you handle leftover potatoes safely? The safe way. The moment your potatoes are cooked, you need to get them in the refrigerator as quickly as possible. Don't let them sit out on the counter to cool for hours. The goal is to cool them down fast, to prevent that bacteria from ever getting a chance to grow. Once they are safely cooled and stored, you have options. Like chicken, potatoes are fantastic cold. A potato salad is a classic for a reason. You can also slice them and lightly pan-fry them from cold to make them crispy again, ensuring they are heated through quickly and evenly. If you have leftover mashed potatoes, the safest way to reheat them is on the stovetop or in the oven, not just in the microwave, ensuring they reach a consistent internal temperature of at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit or 74 degrees Celsius. The key takeaway is this: with potatoes, the danger is in the cooling, not just the reheating. Cool them fast, and you'll be much safer. Food number 3, rice. Now, this next one might be the most surprising of all, because it's a staple for billions of people and a common feature in meal prepping and takeout meals. I'm talking about rice. How many of us have ordered Chinese or Thai food, had leftover rice, and just microwaved it the next day? We all have. The story of rice is similar to potatoes, but with a different bacterial culprit. Uncooked rice contains spores of a bacteria called Bacillus cereus. These spores are incredibly resilient and can easily survive the cooking process. When you cook the rice and then leave it sitting at room temperature, these surviving spores can germinate and multiply into active bacteria. These bacteria then produce toxins. One type of toxin causes diarrhea, and the other, more resilient type, causes vomiting. And here's the kicker. Just like with the botulism toxin, reheating the rice won't destroy the toxins that have already formed. The microwave might kill the new bacteria, but the poison is already in the food. This is why reheated rice syndrome is a well-known cause of food poisoning. The impact on your body is immediate discomfort, but the connection to brain health is what we often miss. Any bout of food poisoning, even a mild one, is a major inflammatory event for your body. This systemic inflammation can cross the blood-brain barrier, contributing to that feeling of mental fatigue, poor concentration, and even low mood that can linger for days after the physical symptoms have passed. It's your brain reacting to the inflammatory storm in your gut.
So what's the rice rule? The safe way. The 1-hour rule is your best friend. As soon as you've finished serving the rice, you should aim to cool the leftovers and get them into the fridge within 1 hour. To cool it quickly, you can spread it out on a baking sheet. Once it's in the fridge, you should eat it within 1 day. When you do reheat it, make sure it is steaming hot all the way through. This will kill any new bacteria that may have decided to grow in the cold. A good way to do this is to add a tablespoon of water to the rice and microwave it covered, or stir-fry it in a hot pan. Never, ever reheat rice more than once. Treat rice with respect, and it will treat you well in return. Food number 4, spinach and other leafy greens. We're always told to eat our greens, and for good reason. Spinach, kale, celery, and chard are packed with vitamins and minerals. But there's a specific component in these wonderful vegetables that requires us to be careful with reheating. These vegetables are high in compounds called nitrates. On their own, nitrates are perfectly harmless. In fact, they have some health benefits. However, when you reheat these vegetables, a chemical reaction can occur, especially in the presence of certain bacteria, that converts the healthy nitrates into harmful nitrites. Nitrites are a different story. In the body, they can be converted into nitrosamines, which are compounds that have been linked in some studies to an increased risk of certain health issues. More immediately, they can affect the blood's ability to carry oxygen, a condition called methemoglobinemia. For an older adult whose circulatory system may already be compromised, anything that interferes with oxygen transport is a serious concern. And what's one of the first organs to suffer from a lack of oxygen? The brain. Even a slight reduction in oxygen to the brain can lead to dizziness, confusion, fatigue, and headaches. You might just feel a bit woozy after eating your reheated cream of spinach soup and not know why. This doesn't mean you should fear spinach. The risk is specifically with reheating. The safe way. The simplest solution is to cook only as much as you plan to eat in one sitting. These vegetables cook down so much that it's often easy to gauge the right amount. If you do have leftovers, for example, from a spinach quiche or a large pot of soup, the best approach is to eat them cold or at room temperature. A cold slice of quiche can be just as delicious. If you must reheat a soup containing these greens, do so on a low heat on the stovetop, just until warm, to minimize the chemical conversion. Avoid boiling it for a second time. This is a case where fresh is truly best, and if not fresh, then cold is your safest bet.
Food number 5. Mushrooms.
Ah, mushrooms. They add such a wonderful, earthy, savory flavor to our food. They're a fantastic ingredient, rich in proteins and vitamins. But, much like chicken, mushrooms are made up of complex proteins that can be a real problem when reheated. Their delicate protein structure is easily destroyed by the enzymes and bacteria that begin to work on them the moment you pick them. When you cook them and then cool them and then subject them to a second round of heat, these proteins break down in a way that can be very difficult for our stomachs to handle. It can lead to significant digestive upset, an upset stomach, and a general feeling of being unwell. For seniors, any digestive issue is more than just an inconvenience. It can lead to poor nutrient absorption from that meal and the ones that follow, creating a cycle of fatigue and low energy. And as we've discussed, when the gut is unhappy, the brain feels it. That energy slump and mental fog are direct consequences. So, what is the protocol for our fungal friends? The safe way. The advice here is very similar to chicken. It is highly recommended to eat mushrooms right after they're cooked. They are at their peak in both flavor and digestibility. If you have leftovers, they are best eaten cold. Toss them into a salad or an omelet at the very end of cooking, just to take the chill off. If you absolutely need to reheat them, do it on a very low heat, preferably in a pan and for a very short time. Never use a microwave, as the intense, uneven heat is the worst culprit for destroying their protein structure. A good rule of thumb: cook mushrooms with the intention of finishing them in one meal. They are a delicacy, best enjoyed fresh. Food number 6. Eggs. Finally, let's talk about the incredible edible egg. A perfect package of protein and nutrients. We eat them scrambled, fried, boiled, and in countless other dishes. But reheating eggs, especially scrambled or fried eggs, is a bad idea. Just like chicken and mushrooms, subjecting cooked eggs to a second round of heat, particularly in a microwave, changes their protein structure and can create compounds that are toxic and difficult to digest. Reheated eggs can acquire a rubbery texture and a very unpleasant smell, which is your first clue that things have gone wrong chemically. These compounds can wreak havoc on your digestive system, leading to nausea and stomach pain. But there's another concern. When eggs are left out, they can become a breeding ground for salmonella. Reheating them, especially unevenly in a microwave, might not bring all parts of the dish to a high enough temperature to kill all the bacteria, leaving you at risk. For an older immune system, a bout of salmonella is a very serious event. It causes extreme dehydration and inflammation, which places immense stress on the heart and, you guessed it, the brain. The confusion and weakness that accompany such an illness can be profound.
The safe way? It's simple. Cook eggs fresh. They take only a few minutes to prepare. Avoid making a big batch of scrambled eggs to reheat throughout the week. If you have leftover hard-boiled eggs, they are meant to be eaten cold. They're a perfect snack or addition to a salad.
If you have leftover frittata or quiche, it's far better to eat it cold or at room temperature. If you must warm a slice, do it gently in an oven or a pan. Never a microwave. Eggs are a gift of nature, but they demand to be eaten fresh. So there you have it: chicken, potatoes, rice, spinach, mushrooms, and eggs. 6 everyday foods that require a little extra thought when it comes to leftovers. As you can see, there's a common thread here. The issues often arise from either bacterial growth during improper cooling or from the chemical breakdown of delicate nutrients when blasted with high heat for a second time. This knowledge isn't meant to make you afraid of your refrigerator. It's meant to empower you. It's a reminder that as we age, our bodies become more sensitive. The habits that we got away with in our 30s and 40s might not serve us as well in our 60s, 70s, and beyond. Listening to our bodies and treating our food with a little extra care is one of the most powerful things we can do for our long-term health and vitality. The core principles are simple. Cool food quickly. Don't leave leftovers sitting on the counter. Get them into the fridge within an hour or two. Store it properly. Use airtight containers. Rethink reheating. Consider enjoying more leftovers cold. Salads and sandwiches are your friends. If you must reheat, be gentle. Use a low heat on the stovetop or in the oven. Try to avoid the microwave, especially for protein-dense foods. And always make sure the food is steaming hot all the way through to kill any new bacteria. By making these small, mindful adjustments, you can continue to be resourceful, save money, and enjoy your delicious leftovers, all while protecting your gut, safeguarding your energy, and keeping your mind as sharp and clear as it deserves to be. I truly hope this was helpful. If you learned something new today, please consider sharing this video with a friend or a family member. It's the kind of practical wisdom that can make a real difference in someone's daily life. And I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 6 foods surprised you the most? Please leave a comment below. I enjoy reading your stories and insights. Thank you for spending this time with me. Stay safe, eat well, and I'll see you in the next video.